Welcome to Beyond the Money with Jackie Campbell. Jackie is a certified financial planner, CPA, personal financial specialist, and founding partner of Campbell Company Wealth Advisors and CPAs.
We're focusing on where you're at, what changes you need to make, what you need to stop doing, what you need to start doing, and what you should continue doing.
Campbell Company is proud to call the Nature Coast home, serving Orlando, the Villages, Tampa, and beyond. Now, because there's more to life than just finances, let's go Beyond the Money.
Helping you navigate to and through retirement with Jackie Campbell and the team at Campbell Company Wealth Advisors and CPAs. We invite you to reach out at any time this weekend, 352-251-1015 or mycampbellandco.com. My name is Mark Owens. Jackie Campbell, you've said it before, that procrastination can do damage to a retirement plan. And now, Jackie, there is an official name for people who are chronically late, or those procrastinators, if you will. Psychologists call them time optimists. Now, Jackie, I hear that and I think, why are we glorifying people that have bad time management? When you hear time optimist, and I bet you see it almost, on a weekly basis, people who don't realize the value of time.
Gosh, and time is so important. That's the one thing none of us can get back, right? And it's
Right.
probably the most valuable thing that we have in our lives. Yeah, that's interesting that they call them a time optimist. But I guess, their optimism is what frustrates the rest of us and everyone else that's involved. That they're delaying. Procrastination it's avoiding something, right? It does come down to that's really the issue. It's not just being an optimist of time and that you're able to do more things in that amount of time. But we typically do not put off the things that we want to do, but we do procrastinate the things that are important that we really don't enjoy doing. So I would say math and taxes and financial planning, retirement planning are probably going to fall in those categories for sure.
How often do you find that adults procrastinate calling you, but then they say, Jackie, I wish I would have called you a year ago. Should have called you 2 years ago.
There's just something about it, Mark. It's with when you just start having the conversation, because it's a bit of homework to get ready for a retirement plan, that first appointment. And, getting all your accounts together and getting organized. And, it may be the first time that someone has truly put them all in one organized fashion. Getting all that information, getting your Social Security benefits for the future, getting any pension benefits that you may be having, just kind of planning for what that next phase in your life is going to look like. And, then that's when you bring face to face. How much have you saved? How much do you owe in debt? And how much do you truly spend? And holy cow, am I going to be able to be successful or not? So it's a real fear. And, but then just seeing them come in, and then after the first few minutes of their shoulders drop and that tension just kind of melts down their back. And, and that's the sigh, the deep breathing. And it's like, oh my goodness, this isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. This is actually going to be a really great thing for me psychologically to know exactly where I stand. Because one of my favorite quotes is by Carl Bard, and you cannot go back and change anything, but you can start from today, you can start from now and create a brand new ending. And with retirement planning, retirement savings, the 360-degree retirement roadmap, and knowing all of those things. Why someone procrastinates? I mean, I understand I procrastinate a lot of things that I don't really want to do. But that's intentional procrastination, I think. I don't know what they would really call that one. But yeah, whether you're a glass half full, glass half empty, let's test your plan, your numbers, and see where you're at, if you're on track for success, or what modifications and adjustments that you might need to make. And let's make sure you have enough runway, enough time frame to actually execute those. Give us a call, 352-251-1015, or you can go online at mycampbellandco.com. Right there in the center of the homepage, you're able to just put something in there, put in a note, and say, 360-degree retirement roadmap, or I'm a procrastinator. I've had the book on procrastination, and it's still sitting in my trunk from 3 months ago, and I haven't read it. So, now this is your call. This is your alarm, so to speak, to make sure and get that on the calendar and be intentional about your future of retirement planning. 352-251-1015 or online at mycampbellandco.com.
As we put a bow on this conversation about procrastination, do you feel that also some people are embarrassed about the financial mistakes they've made in the past, and they're like, I don't want to face it head on. I don't want the realization of, here's some of the mistakes that I've made?
I see it, feel it, and hear it all of the time. All the senses come in. We all, every single one of us, know someone who has more money than we do, who has, for whatever reason, they had a better job, they had luck, they inherited money, whatever that may be. We know people that are wealthier than we are, and that's what we compare against. And I could have a conversation with someone with $4 million saved for retirement, no debt, have multiple streams of income, and still feel they know people that have in the tens of millions, and they're comparing to that. So they don't consider themselves in a good place. But it's all about you, how much you spend. And, it's just about testing the math. And, I love doing that. I'm a nerd, so I love testing the math. That's what we do here at Campbell Company. We love numbers. We love math and testing the plan. And when I do planning, it's not just about, how great can we make this look? It's about how much can we stress your plan? What can we do? Do you think you need a new roof? Do you think you're going to buy a new car? I had a conversation. Someone wanted to buy a Lamborghini instead of the spouse thought they were going to get a new Corvette. So, quite a different plan in spending. But, what are your dreams, your goals, your wishes? You've worked your entire life. You've become a really, really good saver. You're probably in better shape than you think you are. Don't do that comparison. Let's test your real plan, all 360 degrees around, not just on income planning or how to invest your retirement dollars once you separate from work and retire, but truly how to transition into that, how to make sure that you're going to have that income stream, how to make sure that you're not taking too much risk, how to make sure your things go where you want them to go. And the biggest one that we hear about all the time, Mark, paying the least amount of taxes legally possible. So having the smart tax plan, that's what we do. We're different from other financial advisors, planning advisors. We are retirement planners. We are retirement advisors, and we kind of focus most of our energy on that most complicated part and phase of your life. And that is in that coming down the mountain, that second phase, the decumulation, so to speak, and just helping you make sure that all of your things are on track to go where you want them to go at the end of the day. Give us a call, 352-251-1015, or online at mycampbellandco.com. And one more thing, we don't judge here at Campbell Company. Trust me, over 30 years, we have seen and heard everything. We don't really get shocked or surprised very often. So, and all your information is confidential, and, give yourself some grace, because I'm sure you're doing a lot of things much better than those that you might be comparing to. So give us a call. Let's test your plan. 352-251-1015.
As you talk about a judgment-free zone at Campbell Company Wealth Advisors and CPAs, it's like going to the dentist, because everybody thinks they have the worst teeth. I guarantee you, those dentists have seen worse. So I guarantee you may think your portfolio is a bit of a mess right now. I don't like to make guarantees, but there's a really good chance that Jackie's probably seen a portfolio that's in worse shape than yours. Just throwing it out there, Jackie.
Yeah. And it's not about judging. And I know you've had some dental horror stories lately too, Mark. But I just sat in the dentist chair, and he's like, "Yeah, you've spent quite a few hours in the dentist chair in your lifetime." I think that's part of growing up in the 70s. That's what they did, was you had a problem, like you got the whole tooth all one big filling. So it's a lot to unravel as we get older.
Yeah, that's one of the conversations you're also going to have with Jackie and the team with that 360-degree retirement roadmap. Let's talk about your long-term care and your health care plan as well. But, Jackie, with that being said, you've mentioned it a couple of times. We give you a call this weekend. We've saved at least $500,000 or more for our financial future. We want to take advantage of that initial no-cost, no-obligation consultation. It is the 360-degree retirement roadmap. What all does that involve with you and the team, Jackie?
Well, the very first thing is we're going to give you a questionnaire, some questions that we're going to have just to make sure that we kind of know what your demographic is. Like, who are you? Are you married? Are you single? How many years before you're going to plan on retiring? So just trying to get an idea of your story and trying to build that and then put the numbers around and in that story. So the very first appointment is going to be reviewing those things, kind of asking you some great questions, some thinking questions. What are you trying to achieve? What is important to you? How will you know that you've achieved what you're trying to achieve, right? Because it's not our job to tell you what you will and won't do and should do, but just to come along and guide and coach you and make sure that we're going to be able to help you get to and through retirement. So that is going to be our very first conversation, and then after that we decide is this going to be a good fit for you? Do you want to know more about your 360-degree retirement plan? We're looking at 5 different components there. We're not only just looking at where your investments are, how much risk you're taking, and how they're invested. And is that appropriate? What should you stop doing, start doing, and continue doing? But we're also looking at, some of the other methodologies that may be out there. Some of those with a zero floor, the potential not to lose money. We're going to talk about Market Guard. That is a proprietary methodology that we have access to at Campbell Company. And it is using an algorithm that is non-emotional, mathematical, and it's a methodology, right? So it's using something that's going to help you get again to and through retirement without that emotional reaction for whatever's going to happen in the news and in the market. And then of course, after the investment allocation, the investment portion, we're going to be looking at income planning, making sure you have multiple sources of income, how to maximize your Social Security benefit, and making sure if you're married that you have an income plan for not just your life, but for 2 lives. We see that as an obstacle many, many times. Smart tax plan, making sure you're going to pay the least amount of taxes legally possible. So many different tax laws. The most complicated is the U.S. tax code. So what do we need to be considering there? Where are you at on that age, that retirement milestone chart? Because I love to celebrate birthdays, Mark, and every birthday has a new story and a new plan and new opportunity for each one of us. And then, of course, the last 2, which aren't always so fun to talk about, but they're so important. Your health care, your long-term care. Once you turn 65, about 64 and a half, that's the milestone age, you should be looking at your Medicare supplement, what that looks like and what you should be doing and how soon you should be signing up for those things. Long-term care, most people don't want to talk about that, but guess what? We don't want to be burdens to our family members and to our children most of the time. And if we've had any experience with a family member that's had long-term care or needed long-term care, we are probably going to be a little bit more intentional than our neighbor on that. So we'll talk about that, make sure we have a plan in place or know what the plan is going to be. And the last thing, your legacy plan. Many people don't want to deal with that. They don't want to even talk about it, but it is so important because at the end of the day, we all want to honor our wishes of our loved ones, our parents especially. And if you don't spell those things out, make sure your things are legally going to go where you want them to go with the least amount of legal fees and the least amount of taxes. Then are you really doing a great job cleaning up your own affairs and your own messes and leaving the best that you can for those that you love and care about the most? Give us a call, 352-251-1015. If there's any one of those 5 you haven't done, why would you not do it? There's no better time than right now. It's hot as heck outside, so you might as well take the opportunity, be in the air conditioner, and get all these things, all your ducks in a row before all the holiday season and fun begins.
352-251-1015. Or again, be inside, be in the AC, and visit mycampbellandco.com. From there, you can meet the team, see all the services they have to offer, and also schedule that initial consultation from the homepage. Again, mycampbellandco.com, with multiple locations across the Nature Coast. They can meet you at a time and a place that fits your schedule. And Jackie, you just mentioned legacy, and talking about localism as well. Tampa resident Hulk Hogan passed away a couple of weeks ago. He had his bar, the Hulk Hogan Hangout in Clearwater, and I read a report that said over the past couple of weeks, record number sales of people coming down there to check it out and pay their last respects. But now this is, unfortunately, you see this a lot with celebrities when it comes to their legacy, their wills, their trust. He has an estate worth about $25 million, but his daughter, Brooke, she's not going to see any of it because a couple of years ago, she asked to be removed from his will. She didn't want any part of any of this because, as the story goes, she didn't like the people that were running his trust, his will, his legacy. She didn't have a good feeling about his handlers, and so she asked to be removed. So she didn't get involved with any kind of battles with his fortune. Kind of a sad, conversation piece about Hulk Hogan, who did so much for the wrestling industry. But how often do you see these battles when it comes to legacies, wills, trust, estates?
It's often, and almost every estate that I see, and every just about everyone, there's something left untitled properly, not having a beneficiary on it, or going to someone that I feel they probably wouldn't have wanted to go through, or maybe a probate even has to be open for $3,000 to $5,000, a small probate, just to get the assets to go where they want them to go. So, if you have multiple properties, be intentional about that. If you have any account, if you have any retirement account, any life insurance, update those beneficiaries. That's one of the things we do every fall for our clients at Campbell Company. We're doing a beneficiary audit. So that's just one easy way to make sure that, someone that you had like 20 years ago, 30 years ago as a beneficiary, is that who you still want to get those things, your dollars, your assets, and just be intentional. And Mark, honestly, if there's more than one beneficiary, there's probably going to be a dispute of some sort.
Right.
So just making sure, getting everyone on the same page, having that spelled out. And, it doesn't always have to be fair. It doesn't, not like everybody, if there's a nickel, everybody gets half of it. If there's two beneficiaries, but let's just get really specific. Some are going to want the jewelry. Some are going to want the guns. Some are going to want the dollars, and let's try to make it as tax efficient for everyone that you can. If you are charitably inclined, let's take care of that on the front end. Let's make sure the right accounts go to those charities to save and get more to your beneficiaries that are not charitable organizations at the end of the day. But it all starts with planning and conversation. And, Mark, I'm not an attorney, but I am extremely passionate about getting your my win file organized so that you can feel prepared and create that confidence and that direction and clarity for those that you love and care about the most. And you want it to go with the least amount of taxes legally possible and the least amount of legal fees to get there. So really, really passionate about getting your affairs in order. And when I heard about Hulk Hogan, he's an icon. Like him, love him, hate him, whatever. A lot of stories through the years, the past 30 years or so here in the Tampa, Clearwater area about him and his family and his divorces and everything. But, a true icon. And, the very first thought that I had was, oh gosh, I wonder what his estate looks like, because we're probably all going to hear about it. And, that's the tough thing about having an estate is it's public record, it's public knowledge. And I don't know about you, but I don't want everybody knowing all my business when I'm not here. So it's just a great way to keep some privacy and keep some dignity. And keep all the media, especially if you're in the limelight in any way, out of your personal affairs and your family's affairs when you're not here.
352-251-1015 as we talk about the 360-degree retirement roadmap. One of those steps is helping your financial plan work with your legacy plan as well. So if that's part of your future, if you want to make sure that there's no discrepancies, there's no disputes within the families when you pass, this is the conversation. It's not always a fun conversation, but it's one that needs to be had with Jackie and the team at Campbell Company. 352-251-1015 or online at mycampbellandco.com. Again, from the homepage, you can shoot the team a note and they'll get back to you immediately. Again, mycampbellandco.com. Also at the homepage, you can check out the Beyond the Money podcast. You can find this weekend show plus a full archive of shows, celebrity interviews, and specialty interviews as well. And Jackie, you recently had the opportunity to sit down with, I guess you could say, a local legend, if you will, Martine Gramatica. How did this conversation come to be?
Well, I guess it's all having friends who know people, right?
Right.
So, sometimes when you're looking for something, it'll just come to you. And, I've been after my husband, who is typical male and doesn't like to go to the doctor unless there's a problem. I'm like, I really think that you should get a full body scan. And there he comes right into my life. And, Martine happens to be a co-owner in a scanning business, and just absolutely enjoyed talking with him. And, I know football players by the color of the shirt that they wear. Jersey, right. I know it's a jersey. I'm downplaying it, but I'll normally tell you what color team is going to win the game. I really am not into who players are, but I knew who Martine Gramatica was. So I was really impressed to meet him. And when he came in the office, he said, I wore red. And I said, I know, I remember. So great to meet him, and really had a great time talking with him. He did give us a QR code that we can share with you if you're listening and you want a complimentary scan of your heart. They have a great opportunity to do the full body scan, what they consider a full body scan right there in the Villages. So a great opportunity. You might even meet Martine if he's there. Great guy. And listen to the podcast. I would encourage you to listen to that, because I think Scott was fanboying just a little bit. He was he talked about all the coaches and all the players, and just a really, really great era here when they were winning the Super Bowl several years ago here in the Tampa Bay area. So again, Beyond the Money podcast is where you can find that on all platforms. And if you're looking for that QR code, or interested in finding out more about his life screening company and location and that complimentary heart scan, give us a call. We'd love the opportunity to share that with you. 352-251-1015 or online at mycampbellandco.com.
Now, the Beyond the Money tip of the day.
It's that time of year. If you haven't rebalanced or reallocated your assets or your investments lately, now's the time to review that, to make sure that you haven't grown disproportionately. And depending on where you're at on that timeline of life, how old you are, that could make a huge difference in your success in the future, especially when it comes to sequence of returns risk. So give us a call. We'd love the opportunity to talk with you, test your risk score, and also help you navigate to and through retirement. 352-251-1015 or online at mycampbellandco.com.
And again, this weekend, if you've saved at least $500,000 or more for your financial future, that initial consultation, that 360-degree retirement roadmap from Jackie and the team at Campbell Company, no cost, no obligation. Again, that number, 352-251-1015. You can call now. You can call throughout the weekend. We'll have a representative standing by, ready to talk to you, or always available online at mycampbellandco.com. Jackie, as always, thank you for the information and the education this weekend. We're back next weekend, but before we get out of here, let's give you the final word.
I was just reflecting, listening to that audio about, health and kind of making sure that you're kind of taking care of yourself, putting your own oxygen mask on first. And, at the end of the day, Hulk Hogan, for example, it's not going to be the kind of legacy that he's left behind, that he's got action heroes or that he was this, wrestling celebrity. The most impactful thing, like even for me, is going to be not my career, not what I've helped people do, not the books that I've written, not the designations that I have behind my name, but it's really and truly going to be the legacy that I'm going to leave behind for my children, my family, and my grandchildren. And I would imagine that the same thing is there for you. So it's really beyond the money. But make sure that you're taking care of those things and being intentional about getting your retirement plan and your legacy plan in place. Again, give us a call if you're looking for clarity, confidence, and direction. 352-251-1015 or online at mycampbellandco.com. This is Jackie Campbell, Certified Financial Planner and Certified Public Accountant of Campbell Company Wealth Advisors and CPAs. Join us again next time at Beyond the Money Radio and the Beyond the Money podcast for retirement planning.